Here's another one for today. The demographic most vulnerable to automation: teens and young adults. From the Wall Street Journal. Factory workers and truck drivers have been the faces of the nation's automation fears to date. And with good reason. Each occupation is the mainstay of middle-aged male work and generally threatened by robots or artificial intelligence. However, as the summer job season kicks off, our research at Brookings Institution highlights a different demographic concern. By our calculations, no group faces higher vulnerability to automation and AI than young people, workers aged 16 to 24, and that's a problem. Early summer and post-college jobs are a rite of passage for young people. Such jobs are pivotal moments when young people learn to engage in work and life as productive, participating adults. Think of your first job. Mine was at the Hefty Burgers chain in Seattle. Along with the boredom and goofing around, working an oft-times dull, repetitive entry-level job, whether in retail or fast food, has remained one of the main ways American teens build workaday habits. Learn how to show up, appreciate the value of a dollar. Even mundane early jobs have value as links to the world of work. Likewise, young people's first job create an important pathways to later work. Such experiences matter, and they matter especially for non-white, lower-income workers, such as black boys in Chicago. And yet, such jobs are now potentially threatened. To be sure, our recent study is not one of the most frightening automation analysis out there. It offers relatively encouraging overall assessments of workers' exposure to workplace automation. In fact, our analysis shows that a bachelor's degree will provide stability to many workers, given that only 8% of workers with such a credential face high disruption threats given present technology. However, significant occupational, geographical, and demographic variation lies beneath the relatively manageable aggregate figures and bears heavily on the job prospects of the young. For example, the sharp segmentation of the labor market by gender, age, race ensures that some demographic groups are much more concentrated than others in the kinds of low-paying, repetitive work most susceptible to automation. Most notably, we find that nearly half, 49% of the current work now being done by workers aged 16 to 24 could be automated through the adoption of current, not future, but current technologies. That's half. Specifically, nearly 30% of young workers are engaged in high-risk jobs, over 70% of their current tasks categorized as automatable. These figures are much higher than the exposure rates faced by prime-age workers. What are these vulnerable jobs? You guessed it, young workers. Inordinate exposure to automation stems from their heavy overrepresentation in the rote, highly automatable jobs associated with food preparation, retail, and customer service, among others. We know retail is dying, and customer service is being automated by AIs. Consider that young workers aged 16 to 24 make up slightly more than 9% of the national workforce, but represent nearly 40% of cashiers, waitresses, and nearly 1/4 of retail salespersons. And consider further that such jobs are now projected to see as much as 80% of their tasks replaced in the coming years by automatic ordering kiosks, swipe-based payment systems, and robotic dishwashing, and the like. That's not to say all of these jobs will disappear, but it is to say that there may well be fewer of these mainstay jobs in the future, and they will become at once more precarious, more demanding, and harder to land, which underscores the problem here. With young people, especially those from underrepresented groups and poor families, already struggling with the school-to-work transition, as my colleague Martha Ross has documented, the spread of automation in retail, food service, and customer service jobs promises to make things harder. Or to put it another way, automation and AI are going to increasingly complicate young workers' search for work and a first connection to gainful employment. And there you have it. You got to look out for your kids. You got to get them better training. I got 3 kids, or 3 adults. And if I had known this was coming this fast, trust and believe, I'd have trained them a completely different way. In fact, I'd have snatched them from their mother. We're going to have to teach our own kids. We're going to have to train our own kids. We can't rely on the school system to actually get our kids where they need to go. And if you think it was tough now for black kids getting jobs, places like Chicago that have a 50% youth unemployment rate, it's getting ready to get worse. I said on another radio program that we're going to have to make our own jobs. You look at Ford laying off 30,000 people. GM just laid off, well, I think it was like 15,000 people. Retail closings, which I'm actually going to do a video on about retail closings, where, I mean, we talked about, 800 stores here, 1,000 stores there, in retail. So you got to remember that each retail outlet probably hires about 20 to 30 people. Most of them young. Where are these kids going to go? They can't get unemployment. They can't get welfare. They're too young. They can't afford to go to school anymore. Going to have to figure something out, folks. We're going to have to stop arguing over who lays with who, because you can't afford to have the kids anyway. And we're not even talking about female positions, because black women think that their positions are safe. They think that their jobs are safe. AI is coming for their jobs. But they already know that. We need to stop fussing about this bullshit, because black men and women are actually going to get together because they're going to have to share a fucking tent together and figure out where their next meal is going to come from if we don't do something about this. Anyway, I'm going to drop this here. I could rant more, but, that's enough of fear porn for the moment, unless the spirit hits me. But I'm going to jump off here. This is BGS out, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.